Name is Nathaniel David Campbell. I'm from Florida. I have a British passport, and my position is left back, right back, and I'm 24 years old. And since I started kicking the ball, I realized this is what I want to do. That's what I want to do my whole life. And I started off playing in the rec league, worked my way up to comp, worked my way to state cup, and state cup was fun. Um, Definitely a lot of trials and tribulations there. I've always had this issue where I thought I had asthma and I had breathing problems, but it was always something to do with my nose. And um, a lot of coaches didn't really like me as a player because of that. It was my kryptonite. I couldn't run much. I was always tired. But there was a coach that actually liked me from a team called Space Coast, and from there, we actually won the state cup championship. And yeah, from there I played for my first college team called Eastern Florida, and that was probably one of my toughest journeys because in junior college, a lot of players are older, like around 21, 22, and they come over from overseas, either playing at the professional level or academy levels. And yeah, it was very difficult because I'm just an American boy coming from a state cup team. So I was constantly fighting for my position against players that played at top levels. So my first year, I didn't play much. I almost redshirted, and I just came back my next year with like something on my mind. I need to start. I need to get a lot of minutes. So yeah, I ended up fighting for my spot. I was fighting with this other left back for a spot, and yeah, I ended up getting a lot of minutes there. I contributed 1 goal and 5 assists over there, so it actually ended up helping me build my first highlight tape. And from there, I started emailing colleges, around like 300 colleges. It was always like 15 to 20 per week. And when I thought I didn't have anything, um, right when the season's about to start, a coach from Chicago hit me up and said he likes my highlights and he's willing to offer me a full ride. So I took the full ride and took the gamble, took the leap of faith into Chicago from Florida. So that was a crazy jump. And my first season, um, he didn't really like me as a player. So I would say the first 4 matches I didn't play, but he started to realize that I can play and he started giving me opportunity. And from there, I played every minute and didn't sit out once. And I stayed another year there where this was my best season. I had a goal in 5 or 6 assists,
Mhm.
and I ended up getting all conference. So from there, I decided I want to play at the Division 1 level. And unfortunately, that didn't work out for me. So I ended up signing to another Division 2 school, a little bit closer to home in Tennessee, a lot warmer. And from there, it wasn't my best season. It was a little bit of a hard season. So I played important minutes, but I didn't get any goals, any assists. So I ended up just getting my degree there, graduating, and from there I didn't know what was next because you graduate college and you have no connections. A lot of coaches in the college system before you sign, they always promise you, oh, we have connections, oh, we're gonna get you to the professional level, so don't worry. But when the time comes, they're a little bit quiet. So I ended up having to do everything on my own. So I played for some semi-professional teams, and one of the coaches really liked me and believed in me. So he told me to go to this tryout in Orlando. And he's like, don't pay anything, just go up and tell them you know me. So I went up and yeah, they took me in. And from there I played good and they offered me a contract and I had to sign it. So I signed and began my professional career. And from there, I played in Texas for my first game, and I was in front of 10,000 people. So it was a very, very cool experience. I actually played 120 minutes there. I had a good game, and yeah, the coach liked me a lot, so he put me up to the first team. And from there, we started training, and yeah, got the contract. And unfortunately, that's where things got a little bit tough though, because I was there for about 3.5 months, and he never lived up to the promises from his contract. And would say that was a very tough thing for me because I lived an hour and 30 minutes away. So I had to drive to and from Orlando every day to get the training in. And I kept talking to him about pay and housing and when that's going to be sorted. And he kind of kept beating around the bush, saying, "Oh, don't worry, next week." And then the week would come up, and then the next week. So I had to leave. So I left, and from there, that was a tough time. I was working a job, didn't have much connections, so I signed with an agency. He works just specifically in the NISA league. However, he's still a little bit new, didn't have much connections, and was only able to push me around NISA. And that league, as a professional, right now they're still growing. So a lot of teams don't have the budget for housing, and the pay is very low. So it would be very hard to live off of. So that was one struggle with me. It was always he would offer me to go to this team, but no housing. And I live in Florida, so to just relocate without having a place to stay is a little bit difficult. So it wasn't working out. So we ended up having to part ways. And from there, I was just working a job, just searching for opportunities constantly. And a coach hit me up from South Carolina saying, "Hey, we like your highlights. We would love you to come play Open Cup with us." So I packed up my stuff and jumped on a plane right to South Carolina. And that's where we participated in the Open Cup. And we made a name for ourselves. We actually beat an MLS Next Pro team called Crown Legacy, and they won their league the year before. So they're top form. We played them in Open Cup. We beat them 1-0. And yeah, we moved on to the second round. And I had a great performance there. Played 60 minutes, contributed. From there, we played against Charlotte Independence in the USL one, and I thought that was a really cool experience. That was probably one of my best games I've played. I played the full 120 minutes, and I was rated a 7.6 for my performance in that game.
Mhm.
And from there, I just finished off the season with that team, and a couple agents reached out from there, but it was through my coach, and my coach wanted me to stay on that team, so he never pushed me to those agents, still to this day. So I would say some of the pros of football is it's if you enjoy it, like you pursue it. Get to play in front of fans. I just think it's something you love to do. It's your life. I would say some of the cons with football is it's not very popular in the US. So it's lower level pro teams is a little bit shady. It's a little bit difficult. Sometimes you might be promised money and not get it. Other times you'll get very low amount of money, maybe 500 a month or so. And depending on where you're located, you can't really work off of that. So one of the struggles is a lot of people have to actually work a second job and don't get to just focus entirely on football. So they have to juggle in between the two. And when you get to around 21, 22, you have bills to pay. So you have to worry about that, car payments, phone bill, Wi-Fi, all sorts of things. So it's very difficult, but also I would say another con is finding agents that are willing to invest in you and take the chance on you because over here in the US, football is very much so pay to play. So if you don't have enough money, um, you don't play. at the highest level. So it's really important that you get a good connection, you get a good agent that's willing to work with you, that believes in you. So yeah, I would say that's it.
Okay, so to go back to the agents,
Mhm.
um, can you go more in depth about your experience with agents?
Yes. So I've only had one agent, and a lot of agents that I have contacted, especially off of LinkedIn, they'll tell you, hey, if you want to play here and want to try out, you got to pay. So let's say it's in Europe. You don't know anything about the agent. They ask you to pay $500 to them to go to a trial overseas, and you don't know anything about them. So that happens a lot. A lot of people get scammed through LinkedIn because they trust the agent and they give them the money, and the agent will just stop replying. I've heard many stories like that. Agents in the US is kind of the same thing, but it's more costly. I would say to go get a trial for a team, they'll charge you like $300 when you could just do it yourself and go book the trial in the US for that exact team. Little things like that. And what an agent's supposed to do, they're not supposed to actually charge you. They're supposed to charge from what your contract is. They normally take a percentage out of that. So it's very hard to believe a lot of agents in the US because they just want to upfront pay. And sometimes it's not even promised that you even get to a proper trial. There's been some trials that I've been to where they're just money grabbers and they take the money and they're off with it. So an agent can't even promise you that the trial is going to be legit. If it's going to be the team itself that's looking at you, or if the team is just trying to generate some money for their club. So that's kind of one of the issues.
So, like, how can you tell when a club is just trying to generate money for their organization?
So it's actually very hard because it sounds legit. They're like, hey, we're looking for players, but there's been many instances where they already have their players set and they'll bring those players to the trial and put them on a certain field and watch them specifically. And they'll put like their assistant coaches and coaches that don't have much of a say and on the other side. So I actually went to a tryout in Miami and the they had about 150 players. The main coach stayed on one side of the field and watched one team and set up a bunch of small-sided fields and just played small-sided for about an hour and change. And he actually put some, as it looked, academy players and dressed them up, and they just had a clipboard and they were just conversating the whole time, not really watching players. So you kind of got what you needed to know from that. That was a money grabber. There's some that aren't money grabbers though, but you never know, and that's kind of the risk. Without having an agent, you got to just take it yourself.
Okay.
So,
So, right now, what are your next steps and what do you look forward to in your journey as a soccer player?
so right now my next steps is to um either find an agent ASAP or just keep working on my own, keep building connections through LinkedIn, going to some tryouts, taking the risk, spending the money to do that. And sorry, what was the other question?
And what do you look forward to on your journey as a footballer?
Oh, I look forward to just actually signing another contract because that's been my dream. I would finally be able to fulfill that. And my younger self would be so proud to see that. And the amount of blood, sweat, and tears I've put into the game to finally it to pay off. The amount of no's I've seen, the amount of agents I've talked to, and things didn't really add up. So I feel like this would be huge. Um, yeah, my goal in life is to play at the highest level possible and also tell a story to players that are going through the same thing as me. Because I know a lot of players that have been scammed, don't know what to do next in life, don't know where to start. So I'd love to just be that story to tell them, hey, don't give up, just keep going. I played for a team where I wasn't paid, um, things like that. I want to inspire people to just keep going.
Okay, okay. So since you said that, on the final note, what is one thing, what is one form of advice that you would give to those who are searching and kind of feel discouraged? Because I know quite a few soccer players who don't have an agent, who aren't sure about what their next season is going to be, or even what their entire career will be. So, what is some advice to help keep them uplifted and positive?
The biggest advice I would tell them is just keep going. Just know that there's many players going through the same thing as you, but you have a story to tell. Everybody has their own story, and I think this is just building your story. Because when you sign for that professional team, now you have a story to tell other people, and that you didn't give up, that things were hard, you were scammed, all those things. So yeah, I generally think just keep going, just enjoy the journey, even when it's tough like that. Just keep going.